Good afternoon, good evening, good morning, free enterprise runners, and welcome to this afternoon's Red Moon waxing race between Rexbanner and Korgs. On the restream side today, Skull Kitty is running the restream. We have Raging Levine on tracking duties, and joining me in the comms booth today is Deathlike. How are you doing today, Deathlike?
Good. It's like a matinee. You don't go to the movie theater on an afternoon, but this is an afternoon showing. At least.
Yeah.
And I'm excited.
Welcome to your free enterprise Red Moon waxing matinee for the day. So this is Korg's second match, having defeated Tybalt in the playthrough, going up against Rexbanner, and this is his first match in the Red Moon waxing bracket. And today we've got a wealth of ugly bosses, as is befitting the Red Moon flag set. We have the required Wool Gauntlet and Goldiz. We have Mom Bomb, Vigan, Kinatsu, the Naga Sisters, Ashura, and Elements. So we're in for a bit of a ride today.
Yeah, boss pool is different in the waxing in the Red Moon set. All bosses won't be trivial. All of them will have the boss bit, and having seen the YAML for it, it's a interesting set of bosses. Especially, I think Mom Bomb Kenazo. I love Kenazo, especially at high HP spots. That can be probably the one to watch. This will still have the Wool Gauntlet and Goldiz, because those will be the thing in most of these races.
Yeah, well, there's very few places where you probably want to see most of these bosses, but yes, one of the unique characteristics of the Red Moon side of things is that it has a curated boss pool, it has a curated list of starting characters, which is limited to Cecil, who we have today, Edge, and very occasionally Fusoya, as well as more difficult treasure settings and having most of the glitches disabled. So, a bit more of a challenge, if you will.
I think the challenge is kind of offset with, like, I mean, obviously the treasure pool is T-Pro, which is pretty standard, but you get a good starting character. I think Cecil will be the kind of the wild card in the sense that you'll have to deal with early DKC not being as useful for the initial stage, but still be serviceable. Potion duty is still it's still an option on the table, not the worst.
Yeah, it's quite a bit of a contrast versus, say, the Edge start, where you have a very easy early game, but can fall off later on if you don't have the equipment to keep him up to speed with the rest of everything. And then, of course, there's Phil, who we rarely see. But it looks like we're off. We'll see in just a moment who we've got accompanying DKC on his hero's journey today. It looks like we've got Edward, everyone's favorite resident Spoony Bard. We have a blue robe as the first boss. That has a 50% chance of being the alt gauntlet we're looking for. And we also have the hook. In both of the Moon Flag sets, it is required to use the hook to get underground. So in principle, we could be seeing some early plays to check the Cape Evelyn, which has relatively good quality loot, as well as the shops there, which are considered gated shops because you need the hook to get there.
Yeah, this probably see some early looting. Probably see some maybe waterway. That would be a prime looting spot. Especially we have the hook, so would have checking the for the normal in this flex set. Going to Troya would not be as the free item is not there, so it's worthwhile. And we get a Tella, so this will be a bit more lucrative as exit is on the table. So early looting, even better.
Vanilla Tella, no less. Tella is a very good utility character, but probably the most significant advantage of finding a Tella this early is that exit spell, where of course Watery Pass, where both of our runners decided to go right away. There is a lot of loot here, but it can be quite long, and you generally don't want to spend time walking back out of it afterward. Instead, after hitting the secret room, both of our runners use that Tella immediately to teleport out, having made those checks. And we'll be seeing where they go next.
Probably to unleash the hook and pick up the free character while we're there, and then probably looting that as well.
That's exactly what we're seeing.
Definitely, we'll see an ordeals an Ordeal's visit, as we have both characters that benefit most from as we picked up Loa. Looks like a miss this move, and we get at least a white mage. So that's at least we solved that issue. You gotta have enough MP to get early berserk. Porum learns a little bit quicker, so that would be helpful.
Yeah, one of the unique characteristics about the Moon flag sets as compared to some of the past tournament flag sets is the use of the new flag C, no earned, meaning that the only 7 characters that will be available to you are your 2 starting characters and the 5 free characters you can pick up from Watery Pass, Damsian Castle, 2 in Mysidia, and 1 on the Mount Ordeals. So we will be seeing only those characters here. Korgs chooses to check the Waterfall boss, that is Ashura, who is not on our list of required bosses. Rex is headed to Cave Evelyn.
So the peaking definitely is going to benefit, but right now not quite enough levels to take Ashura on. Ashura is a bit tanky, and will actually be fast. The Octomammoth spot is actually initially fast, so that is actually not helpful. Usually, overworld bosses are typically slower, but Octomammoth is an exception to that rule. So you don't want to take on a fast boss, especially with the characters you have quite right now.
Yeah, we have Kane and Sid as our 2 Mysidia characters today. So running Tolly right now, we have Cecil, Edward, Tella, Sid, Kane, and Porum. And it's Edward that gets the boot out of that set of 6.
We'll pick up another character on Mount Ordeals, but I think there'll probably be an Atlion check first, start off getting XP, and also check what's at Miss Cave, and maybe a good time to stumble upon a rune axe and buy it immediately with the starting cash.
There's a dwarf axe in Mysidia. That's going to be nice for Kane. Because the dwarf axe is, well, I suppose that the back row glitch is off in the Red Moon flag set, so not as immediately useful as it might otherwise be, but still, the agility penalty that equipping the dwarf axe gets will make Sid an excellent anchor later in the scene.
At least the back row glitch is still useful, even though it's off, but having a back row compatible weapon, so Sid can be in the back row and chucking it, which is not the worst thing.
Yeah, we see a Sparkle as the Rubicante spot boss. So we do not have any Sparkles on the list of bosses that we're looking for right now. And Rosa is our 7th character.
So I guess we eat the kid. The other no, that's interesting.
It is interesting.
The only reason you do that is because you want Berserk early and the exit, but you already have Tella. So I'm almost thinking maybe keep one I would usually just pick Rosa at this, just because Rosa's better. But maybe it just isn't worth the time. I don't. We'll ask later on, but right now it's hey, not the worst thing. You have a white mage. You don't need a second. It'd be nice to have seconds sometimes, so it's interesting. And the first boss we'll be fighting hey you.
We've seen you already. You're in the party right now. What are you doing here? Yeah, that's Dark Knight Cecil in the first Ordeal boss, and might be considered French vanilla. Rex, meanwhile, is exiting out of Cave Evelyn, having checked the boss, having done a little bit of looting there, and is now in Agart, of all places, looking in shops.
Yeah,
selling some of the loot that he picks up.
I mean, with all, even though we're in a T-Pro set, there's still some decent loot that is sellable and worth checking. Checking for items that you critically need. So it's not there's some value to checking the shops early. And getting the stuff you need. There are more valuable shops in the underground and in Cave Evelyn. So this is a profitable venture, as they say.
Alright, so Rick's now in the Mysidia shop. There's Cure 3s in there. That might we do have white mages in hand. That might not be as immediately useful as it would be otherwise, but still interesting to know. That's an Elements in the Milan Z spot, one of our required bosses.
It's French vanilla. I see Mylon.
It's 1/4 vanilla, if you will.
Yeah, Rubicant can be can be elements or actual leg. And the only character that will be less effective would be Kane with his spears, as spears typically have a wind air elemental, and the first three elements that you see are resistant to air. Well, they actually absorb, but since weapons can't be absorbed, they're just resistant. And
yeah.
Kane will not be as effective, but it doesn't matter. You have magic. You have Sid doing Sid things, so you should be fine.
Yeah, Sid is one of the characters that you would like to have for an early ordeals play, just because those levels and given the right equipment, he can hit pretty hard to get through some of these early bosses.
Of course, this is not the version of Val that you can jump on, but that's fun. It should at least do some decent damage, and there she goes.
And Elements is down, and this, of course, you'd much rather see this version of Val here than actual back attack Val, who would be a nightmare to get through.
But then you have Kane, so that's at least...
It's less of a problem with Kane on hand, but still something you don't want to have to suffer through.
Oh yeah.
Anyway, that's our first objective on the board for Korgs. Rexbanner is now also on our heels, and we'll be picking up that same objective in just a few moments.
Likely, since we have the hook early, it might be a thing to fade football early, because there isn't. I mean, until you get Pan, doing that check. I mean, there is a boss check to be had, but there might be some optimization, and a key item it's not a really useful item pickup there.
Yeah, that's interesting. Rex also did not take Rosa here.
It is an interesting decision. Both runners not. Oh hey.
Oh, that's a Golbez in the mirror room. And well, it's nice to find an objective here, but Golbez is probably one of the last bosses he wants to see here, just because he's going to take so much extra time to get through than most of the bosses that can turn up here.
Right now, he's trying to speed up the character killing, because you're going to be guaranteed that two characters will stay alive, the rest will take a nap. So right now, just hoping that the ones you want staying alive, probably Sid and Cecil, because they have the HP pool. Maybe Kane, because he's going to do damage to stick around and then do damage to Golbez once the sequence ends.
Yeah. Golbez is not going to be capable of putting up very much damage here, but you still want to have people up that can take those hits if it's absolutely necessary.
I think Korgs learned Mute on Porm. Probably you could have used that as an alternative. It's not going to be useful for Porm Martella anyways to be able to cast spells, but that would mitigate the paralysis. That's one of those things you usually don't think of doing, because it's rare, but hey, when it happens, and Golbez is weak to fire. Earth Hammer is fire elemental, and Golbez goes down quickly.
Yeah. Good night, Golbez. So that's the second objective on the board for Korgs, as Rexbanner gets to that elements fight, and we'll also shortly be finding a resident comedian in the mirror room. But yeah, we still only have the hook as a key item in hand, so we'll see where Korgs wants to go next.
Still worth checking Antline, maybe defer football, and then definitely raid the Eblin treasury. Just go do that looting. There's not probably also helps also peek the Mount Hobbs boss spot, even though there is no character, but you still need to peek the boss since you want to nail those objectives.
It's normally the reason you would go up Hobbs in most seeds is for the character check there. Here, the reason you would go up Hobbs is because that boss is there. I actually have noticed that a lot of people tend to forget that there is a boss on Hobbs to check, so it's worth keeping that in mind as somewhere you want to look even in this flag set.
Yeah, you're seeing, previous leagues, you see a lot of boss, not free characters. Like you want to have to actually look for free characters. This one's you're handed to you, and there are no other characters, no other help beyond that. So it's different change of pace.
Yeah, like I don't know that there's a good term for that type of character, but we do see Korgs in Fubul, defying expectations of possibly fading Fubul at this point. Is checking the shops right now, but I would expect while he's here that he's also going to do the Fubul defense. Yeah, and that is exactly what is happening.
The game decided Gold does the same thing for both runners. Huh. Conspiracy. And I guess Korgs is doing Fubul Gauntlet check. Well, at least the spot. Hey, free boss, but not the boss we're looking for.
Yeah, Muhammad is just going to count down and then blarg. Bahamut is not going to survive long enough to be able to do that here.
Yeah, so, and, you know, the decision to skip Antlion early is interesting, well, because they just want to get Cecil online, and getting Cecil online gets you everywhere quickly, so,
Like, I don't think we're going to see an outright fade of Antlion here. It's probably going to be the last thing that Korgs does before heading over to Evelyn and starting the hook route, unless either this key item or the item we get from Antlion leads somewhere else on the overworld.
Yeah, probably. I mean, if you're stuck on the overworld, you'd probably be Harp, Earth Crystal, Baron Key. You know, there's not too many overworld gated spots to visit. So it's just, you know, if you get a key, you're probably gonna route it before you go on hook route. It just saves you some time. Well, maybe
okay. Yeah, that's the sand ruby from the Fubul defense, which is a little bit sad, the sad ruby, if you will, because of course with Xeno earned on, there is no character you can get from turning into sand ruby. It's just a piggy in a bed. Yeah, that's your even package where fun character checks go forgotten or ignored. That has no character either. So package. Not as useful, but the package also unlocks a boss spot, and that looks like Dark Imps. Dark Imps on Hobbs, not one of the bosses we're looking for. Still good that we've seen what that is. Korgs, of course, is also now heading up Hobbs, having the presence of mind to make that check. And Rex is also not fading for the wall.
I think should be heading towards a Mist Cave next before oh no, Antlion's.
Yeah, you're right here. You might as well do Antlion while you're in the vicinity.
Yeah, a lot of routing is really just convenience of location. Is it close? Is it close by? Yes, and then you go next thing. That's not it. And in terms, I mean, that's basic routing. There's nothing that complicated. And sometimes things route the way really nicely.
Yeah, like I would hazard a guess that we're going to see Korgs check Mistcape on the way down to Evelyn. Just again, assuming that we don't pick up a key item here that leads us somewhere else in the overworld. That's the next logical destination. You're going to want to make that boss check before you head all the way down, and that is Leviathan and Antlion, not one of the bosses we're looking for. So we can hope at least that this gives us a key item that we're looking for.
Yeah, even on a Womp win for bosses, you really just want the key item just in case. It's more, and getting to 10 key items will be kind of difficult early. Sometimes you'll probably get it late, an underground or early moon. So it's not something you can, not like something you can control. But if you do the boss spots, try to collect as many key items as possible. You know, getting there, well, that's a womp.
Yeah, that is just a Cure 3. We've got enough white mages. We know everyone can buy Cure 3, so we don't need to keep that around. So that leaves just Baron Inn, I believe, and any of the and of course checking Mist Cave, and then going down the hook route. And Korgs is doing neither of those, and instead is proceeding directly to Cave Evelyn.
That's interesting. Not even doubling the double boss check. Boss density actually makes a lot of sense. Although this looks like just a straight loot. Maybe hoping for the monsters, like you actually take on the trap chest while looting. So that for Korgs, it might actually work in this way to save some time. Though it's strange not to even check the Baron Inn, which has better boss density at this very moment. So hey.
Yeah, and I mean we have Paladin Cecil in hand. This could well be a play that leads into checking Castle Evelyn, even just in the hopes of getting that holy sword for Cecil, or at least some better equipment.
That was a quick loot. So just trying to figure out what the Eblin shop has. The item shop contained up to 2 tier 5 items, which consist of sirens, hourglass 2s, and
and as Flamurian Knight in chat is saying, those hourglasses are exactly what you want before you head into Castle Eblin, because those hourglasses make all of the difference in the ability to check trap chests, because of course basically anything that you can find in a trap chest is vulnerable to stop. Hourglasses will put stop on enemies for basically an unlimited amount of time, because the fight's going to be long over before the extended timer for that runs out.
Yeah, usually sometimes doing Eblin with say like an edge is it can be easier. You have a lot more firepower, but you want safety, and safety is what you need to survive. You just need to kind of survive the quick early onslaught of punches.
Yeah, that's so far 2 mute knives that Korgs has found in Castle Eblin. That Ashura fight is going to be trivial now.
Yeah, you can use it on both Paladin and Cecil and Kane. Kane can jump, and Kane will probably do the bulk of the work. Kind of forgotten who checked Octomammoth spot.
Only Korgs has, but Rexbanner is doing that right now. Rexbanner does have a little bit of an advantage of levels and experience over on Korgs Kane here, but still chooses to reset out of that check and is not ready to take it right now.
Yeah, there's sometimes a check maybe deferred only because you don't have the power to do it. So in this case, for Korgs did it early for the information, because you knew you didn't have the power. You had it. The kind of thing that Rex. There's Odin.
Odin in Mistcave is electing to kill Odin just because this is going to be a fast fight, even though, well, okay, apparently not.
Yep.
Not as fast as we were expecting.
Looks like setting up Tella as the anchor for Korgs' party, which is, Sid could be the alternative, but you have Tella.
We do have that dwarf axe from earlier in case we need Sid to anchor things.
I think having Sid upright, just dealing damage up to a point. Sid's weapons are nice, but kind of gated by options, and maybe a Super Smith might be helpful. Although Super Smith since it's not Sea Hero, will be a random item for a character that might not even be in the seed. So
and that is a life staff out of that first chest. That's going to be nice for our White Mage Forum here.
Yep, life staff, good stat stick. If you get a cursed ring, the life staff can offset the negative the negative agility bonus. The negative stats to all. It's like negative 15 to all stats. So life staff.
It's more viable than you would expect to have a cursed white mage with an adequate stat stick as your anchor going into the end game. It allows you to have the rest of your party geared up to let them hit things, if you will, or let them nuke things if necessary. It actually works surprisingly well for even the Zeromus fight.
So, trapdoor as the second spot. Ooh, might be interesting, but I don't think it'd be too bad. As Rexbanner is doing the Baron Inn, so this is for a key item as well. So this is still worth doing. I
would much rather see Evil Wall here than many other places. I mean, this is still a fairly punchy spot, so it's not ideal, but. Evil Wall cheats the ATB system in Final Fantasy IV a lot. Basically, effectively, during the first phase of the fight, acts twice as fast as any other boss in the same spot would. So, it's not someone you want to run into in a late game spot.
It's fine. Sid probably would be able to carry that, but Cecil not doing too much damage might as well. Use his HP pool and do work with it. So that made it quite a bit faster.
And that evil wall has been torn down. There's no character here because see no urn, but our key item is the Earth Crystal, and that is big. The Earth Crystal, while you don't get the 2 character checks in this flag set, you do get 2 boss checks, which is significant, and it is early enough that checking the treasury might make a significant difference as well.
Yeah, treasury still has chance to get high tier items. So that's I mean, that's the reason you go for it. Might not be as valuable as T-Wallish, but still, looting this early. Probably still trying to find a decent weapon for Cecil is still probably top priority. So I wouldn't fault anyone for not raiding the treasury today.
That was a Masamune in the Mad Ogre's chest in Evelyn. Unfortunately, Edge is not appearing in this seed. So it'll solve for a lot, but it's otherwise not useful. Okay, Rex is now at Troya Castle and is, in fact, heading over to the Treasury. So get ready to play one of our favorite games here on the Free Enterprise channel.
Raid that treasury!
Someone's hoping
All
for
right,
power
what have we got
shards.
today? There's a crystal ring, a defense sword, Dragoon armor. Oh, and here's the inventory boss. One of the drawbacks of checking the treasury is that because you get 18 items from here, it's going to fill up your inventory relatively quickly.
It's fine. You just make sure to dump eight items, and you should be fine.
Sword, again, we don't have an edge. Bacchus armor, ribbon, a cursed ring.
That is certainly worth it. Although I think the only thing other than that was a crystal ring, which is just as valuable.
This is with that defense sword. Let Kane hit things out of 10.
Well, give it to Cecil first. It doesn't. They can share the
Cecil
sword.
hit things out of 10.
At least it's a suitable sword. It's like a Kane endgame weapon. Not so much for Cecil, but still serve. But hey, any sword is better than no weapon.
Yeah, like as Plumerian Knight is saying, probably the long-term most significant thing that came out of that chest is the curse ring. It means we need to worry less about anchoring, because we can just slot the curse ring on someone and they'll be 15 agility points slower and put them in the anchor spot, and basically everyone else acts much faster than them.
That was a whole lot of Dragoon on Cecil. That's
yeah. Are we sure that Cecil is not the Dragoon here?
Well, if it's push B to jump, then it would. It is. Then he is.
They're good in push B to jump.
Those are good times.
Yeah, Korgs is done with Castle Evelyn. I believe did not pick up anything truly significant other than that life staff. We do see. Oh, that's actually an arty bow in inventory. That would be much nicer if we still had Rosa as a character. But we've got enough people in the party, Sid especially, that will still be able to make effective use of that.
Yeah, if you find a decent weapon for Sid, Porum can still be a decent makeshift archer. I mean, we don't have a heroine robe, but Artemis bow is almost there. So.
Okay, Korgs is now also in Bearing Inn. Is going to have that Earth Crystal as well in just a few moments, assuming the wall fight goes well. And that's Dolls in the first Zot spot.
Yeah, dolls are they aren't too hard, but the difficulty is trying to kind of prevent them from becoming the big doll.
Yeah, this is a little bit awkward because we don't really have anyone who can. Well, we do have some magic here, but really the most effective way to clear with this fight tends to be spells like Quake, which hit everything at the same time with enough damage to be able to kill everything at the same time. There are some alternatives to that if you've got a good black mage like Tella, in principle, could cast Toad here, as we're seeing. If that lands, the dolls on the left, the back row dolls, do not have the boss bit set, so they're vulnerable to stat effects like Stop or Toad, as we see. So if that lands, the dolls in Toad status they'll attempt to cast the background spell that will transform them into Big Doll, and it will fail because they are a Toad. So it's one of the more effective ways if you don't have that otherwise area of effect damage to prevent the Big Doll from showing up.
One of the other artifacts of Calabrena when they show up is that they kind of eat into the HP pool quite a bit. The Big Doll eats into that. So it's like Mom Bomb. But the Calabrena are not as threatening as Mom Bomb. I mean, you basically start in with the essentially weaker, but there's a lot more HP on the table versus the Big Doll. So But right now they're harmless. They can't. They punch you, and they're gonna tell you, "Oh, turn into Calbrenna," and it's like, I don't see a big doll.
Yeah, I like to think of this as Toad into Calbrenna. But as you can see, it doesn't actually do anything, even though the message shows up. Korgs has now checked Mist Cave as well, and is now also on his way over to Troya. He's checking the shops in Troya before he does anything else.
Picked up a black belt. Pretty good armor for the whole round. Even if you don't use it on a berserker, a mage can still use it to tank some damage. Probably one of the more evasive defensive armors that you can buy. So he's not on the moon. It's not on the moon.
Yeah, that's so. The boss that shows up here in the leading into the second Zot fight is the boss that shows up in Dwarf 2. But more importantly than that, right now, it's the other favorite part of this tournament flag set is piggy lore. So the pig that leads you into the Zot 2 room changes palettes slightly depending on who the boss in this room is. We have a pig with white ears in this room, which tends to indicate that the boss we're about to face has either a red or either a red palette or something like a lunar sparkle, which doesn't have any other outstanding colors.
There's a ribbon.
That's definitely a sparkle. That is Wyvern in Zot 2.
This might be a reset to try and run.
Rex did not save going into this fight. He's going to have to fight the dolls over again.
Yeah, there's always that moment where you forget to do that step, and then you're usually confident. But Blarg, it's a regular Blarg. It's not even Witchburn, where random spell is used instead of Mega Nuke. So
yeah,
this is one of those times where saving at any point, especially where Blarg is anywhere and everywhere, unhindered. There's a few spots like this Zot 2 check, the main throne in Varian Castle, Harp, Dwarf 2, where there's a long period of time before the boss fight actually starts, where if you're not prepared for Wyvern to show up in those spots, will cost you a lot of time if you take a light there. Yeah, especially at the Val spot, which is very fast. That contributes to the problem. The Magus Sister spot, which is where the dolls are, those are slow. Those are significantly slower than the Val spot. So that's what can trip you up, and we see the results. Yeah,
and that wipe has allowed Korgs to catch up. Korgs is now just equipping himself for the Zot 1 fight, and we'll be seeing the dolls here in a moment, and we'll see what happens when he gets to Wyvern as well.
Looks like some weapon movement, probably. Definitely cursing.
There's Telling with the curse ring. Not putting Tella in the anchor spot though. You're probably intending to do that going into the second fight.
Probably not concerned about using magic. I mean, you could probably use Hourglass. Korgs did shop for Hourglasses, so probably we'll see whatever's left of that supply used, if there's any. I hope. Maybe consumed it all. It doesn't probably just power overwhelming it at this point, though.
Yeah, like I see. There's looking through inventory. Pulls out a firebomb with Sid, who has currently the second most HP, most maximum HP. So this is going to do a lot of damage, but it is not enough to knock out the back dolls. I think, unless we're extremely lucky here, Korgs is going to be seeing Big Doll in a moment.
I think Sisu. Oh,
there it is.
Yeah. No, it's fine. Calbrenna. The worst thing that could happen would be Calbrenna reverting. I forget the HP threshold, but there's a certain point where Calbrenna doesn't have enough HP, and this is reverts back to the small doll phase, and that is not what you want to see.
Yeah, well, fortunately, we're not seeing that. Kane and Cecil deal enough damage to obliterate Big Doll.
That should be enough. Just one Star Veil is enough to get the Mega Nuke, as the spell power of the spot is high enough that self-annihilation.
Yeah, as long as you've got one veil off, the fight will end.
I think that the spell power spot is pretty high because you want Val needs that the spell accuracy bonus that comes from having spell power. So
yeah. Okay, so Rex is through that fight. Korgs will be starting that fight in just a couple of moments. I think, based on the equipping we just saw, that Korgs is going to swap Tella into the middle slot here to anchor for the fight, which, assuming he reacts quickly enough to get the veil up, should get him through this fight with no problem. Yep, there's the swap.
Picking up hey,
Zeus Gauntlet.
Hey, we thought you need more. You need more gloves. How about more gloves?
Yeah, so, unfortunately, between those two bosses and that lack of a key item, Zot is of no value to our racers. Okay, Korgs is in the Wyvern fight. There's a run buffer. There's an attempt to get the veil. I think this works. Yep, Korgs is through this fight. Two veil.
This is like a character swap from Rex. This is interesting. Maybe getting the Rosa.
Interesting.
Probably getting the Rosa out.
Yeah, so because we've completed Zot, swaps out Sid, interestingly enough. I guess with with Zot completed, Rosa now can cast Exit as well. That's probably not a factor in this particular decision because we've got Tella in hand.
It's probably the Cursed Ring. When you have the Cursed Ring, you already know who your anchor is, and Sid will outgrow his usefulness. You might as well have two Berserk casters, two White Mages. Well, you have technically have three, including Tella, but so Sid probably has outlived his usefulness from Rex's standpoint, which makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. Okay, so Korgs is through that fight as well. So we don't have anywhere to go right now other than going down Cape Upland through the hook route to get ourselves underground.
Yeah, you're not going to get the magma key on a force hook route seat. There is no chance you're going to get magma on your way. And at least and that helps with kind of you know what you have to do. There's no chance of a magma seed. You're just gonna clear out whatever you possibly can before you must make that trip.
And which it's actually a little bit of an interesting difference between the force hook flag and the force magma key flag. In the case of force hook, which these seeds are using, you are guaranteed to have the magma key gated by something that is underground. If you have force magma on, it just guarantees that the magma key is available to get you underground. It does not force the hook to be behind the magma key. So in force magma seeds, it's still quite possible for you to be able to have both the hook and the magma key early underground. But we don't care about force magma in this flag set. It's force hook, so more of a note of interest than anything.
So trying to think of the bosses in that Sparkle could be. I don't think we haven't found any one of them. Oh, we found Wyvern.
Well, we found Wyvern, yes.
So Ogo would be probably one of the worst.
Yeah, well, I'll point out this boss could not be Wyvern anyway because we don't have be unsafe on. So that means that there are 3 bosses that cannot gate underground access. Wyvern is one of them. Golbez is another who we've also seen, and Balbalis is the third.
And we've seen Hurt. I think we've seen. Oh, did we see Hurt? Yeah. I'm trying to remember.
We've seen Elements. We have not seen Balbalis
right?
yet.
It's like did I see Val? Yes, I saw a Val, but not the Val. That's all right. So there shouldn't be too many. And then the surprise King Queen Evelyn spot, which always is a fun surprise, and sometimes in some cases worth saving immediately after. When you see the moment where Edge supposedly learns his spells, you want to exit out, like move away from the position and immediately save. It's actually done. It's doable in vanilla, which is great.
Yeah, so on the way down, Rexbanner finds the Sailman chest in Cape Eblin and has cleared that and gets another defense sword for his troubles. So both Cecil and Kane will be well equipped for that. So that's the Baron Guards in the King Queen Evelyn spot. This is a completely free fight. These two enemies do not have the boss bit. Korgs has a couple of coffins, and they just go down. I wish there were nicer surprises, but you can only have so many.
wonder if Korgs is gonna save, because it's always something to. Ogre will probably be the worst boss to see at this spot. So this is. It looks like we're swapping out a few.
For certain party configurations, Plague would be ugly to deal with here. We've got an anchoring setup that would mean that Plague would be trivial to deal with. Ogre would be pretty bad. D-Lunars might be bad. Look, it's Plague.
It's free.
Yeah. So Plague's gimmick, of course, is that it doesn't deal direct damage. It instead casts Count, which gives you a countdown, which inflicts the fatal status upon the end of the count. However, there is a quirk with this behavior where it's still the game still needs an action to actually cue and execute the fatal effects to take place. So if your characters are acting fast enough, like if you've got 2 or 3 berserkers acting fast enough, they just prevent the game from ever getting to the point where it can kill your characters. Yeah. So with the berserks going up here, we're just going to see Cecil and Kane and possibly Sid just keep hitting things, and they'll be too angry to die. So I'm calling it.
Yeah, you want to just jam the Q. That's what having berserkers do. It does and the effect has other implications. You can do a lot of other things like timing the spell, like a spell cast to do the big bang nerf for Z. So this is one of those things where having berserkers jam up the queue, Tella doing Tella life things. Failing to land as Tella will do. Could have used.
Yeah, it's okay. At this point, everyone is acting fast enough where you can literally just hold A down and you will win this fight.
Yeah. And fast can screw you over depending on agility. Sid takes a nap because Sid didn't get his turn in. So Sid being very slow not helping his own cause. Cecil and Kane much faster. So that, and even Porum, mages aren't usually slow, but mages are kind of faster than Sid, which is unfortunate.
Yeah. Okay, and Rex is now also in this fight. As Korgs finishes up this fight, you're probably going to see very similar tactics from Rexbanner here. Get Cecil and Kane swinging. Get Rosa shooting if you can. Although we do have Rosa in the center slot here.
Well, she's low leveled, so probably it's effectively an anchor. So it's not. Both runners have picked up a curse string from the raid, so it's not like not important. It's not. I mean, it's cool. It's something different. But since she's low leveled, her agility is not very high. So
the key here is just making sure that your heavy hitters are acting fast enough relative to your anchor that they prevent the death from happening.
I think it was like 2.5 times.
It's two.
It's a number.
It's for a character to be acting at relative agility 1, which is the fastest thing they can act. They need to have agility of at least 2.5 times that of the anchor. It's strictly, I believe it's strictly over 2.5 times, but the cases in which the 2.5 is the magic number in any case. I don't remember if it's exact or not.
Yeah, so like when you have a curse string, so agility tends to be 1, and so getting 2.5 is pretty easy. It's any character can do it. So having Rosa essentially not doing anything useful allows Tella not to wield the curse string. So Virus actually does some decent damage.
Yeah.
So that's.
Okay, in any case, Korgs is now underground and is heading down into the Fey March. We're going to see a free key item out of the next chest that Korgs will open here. There's also 2 bosses down here, which might be some of the bosses we're looking for. That's a Twin Harp as the Fey March freebie. Another overworld check. A fairly lengthy one, only 1 boss there. So it's not necessarily going to be high on the list of priorities for someone to be looking at unless they're running out of other options. But it's still a key item check. It's still a boss check. It might turn out to be relevant.
Yeah, well, free items, but you also get to peek the bosses. So, I mean, sometimes you want, especially if the boss is required, you plan around that. So
Yeah.
It's more of a keep it in the back of your mind, because if they're not the bosses you're looking for, but they might have a key item that potentially gates another boss. Oh, Val. And
There's Val, and there's another Sparkle. That's not a pair of bosses you want to see down here. Those fights will get fairly ugly fairly quickly, depending on who exactly that Sparkle is.
What a interesting to peek the Sparkle. I mean, Val will punch really hard and fast, so that spot is the Leviathan spot where Val is sitting, very strong. So that's definitely definitely fade, at least for that spot. Just peeking that other spot. I mean, with the boss pool that's left, probably at the nicest one would be like D-Lunars, and that's being nice about D-Lunars.
That's you're normally not happy to see D-Lunars pretty much anywhere, and the fact that we're saying that you prefer that to the other Sparkle bosses there, that's saying something about that spot. Korgs has gone into Self Cave to set up the Sheila 1 check. That's kind of an interesting move. So it appears to be heading back to the overworld, possibly to follow up on that check, and maybe thinking about doing the Twin Herb check while he's up here.
I think I missed the peak at Oh wait, we already know who the. Did we peek the top of tower check? If I didn't, I kind of missed that.
If we did, I didn't see it.
I think, I mean, anyway, at this point, we know what the first boss of Dwarf is.
Yeah, Lord Bobbery in chat points out that the top of tower boss is also a Sparkle.
That might be actually worth doing, especially given the characters are left, and the worst, at that point, Ogo is not as threatening. Probably even D-Lunar is not as bad, but there's a tanky spot. I think doing Dwarf would be a good idea, especially because you have a key item, no warp. You can't. The warp glitch is not available, but you have two bosses, and we know one of them is Antline at the second spot, so that might be worth doing.
Yeah, it's unlike the Blue Moon flag set, the warp glitch isn't on here, but in the Moon flag sets in general, we care more about boss checks than we do about key item checks. So having the two boss checks there would make it would make it a higher priority. Ooh, and Korgs is actually going to check Harp.
Interesting. At the spot, Dark Elf spot has highest magic defenses of all the bosses.
Yeah.
And so since we don't have anything that overwhelms that magic defense, that being Nuke or Bahamut or Meteor. I mean, with Tella, we don't have. I don't think we have seen Soma drop, so that's kind of unfortunate.
No,
won't be able to see that.
Yeah, I mean, the way to deal with high magic defense is just not to use magic. We've got enough heavy hitters in this party that whoever this boss is probably going to fall relatively quickly versus Cecil and Kane alone.
I mean, it's an interesting decision to do this immediately. I mean, although I think that the dwarf first spot tends to be there's a Mom Bomb. That shouldn't be too bad actually.
Well, Mom Bomb is one of the bosses we're looking for.
Although it will punch with the big doll punch, and that's been known to have been pretty toasty. Also, I think this spot has some decent magic power. So if it gets to the point where a Mama does explode, it might at least might kill Tall? I'm not even sure. But
yes, but while Rex takes on Mom Bomb and while Korgs winds his way through this cinematic Dark Elf fight, it is time for DJ Swinny Bard to take the spotlight and present us with today's Harp performance. So we'll be quiet for a little bit and let you enjoy the show. well, you don't want to see a boss that counters all physical attacks as well with very large magic defense. But Ruby is down. We get a power shirt for our troubles for the harp check.
Yeah, that's a huge whomp.
Korgs is electing to keep the power shirt.
Yeah, that's having. Well, at least you did come up with something, but definitely not what you want. I think Rexbanner had an ice spread. Usually worth keeping one of those around when Ruby shows up, and then Ruby goes down much quicker. But hey, whatever. It's just needed a berserk character to do all the work. It's fine. More than enough.
Yeah, Rex is now both through. Wow, Rex is now through both of the dwarf boss checks. We had the required mob bomb, but the other boss is not one of the ones we're looking for. We will be getting the key item here from Dwarf in just a couple of moments.
Yeah.
Well, Korgs is healing up and preparing himself for whatever comes next.
Hoping for the key item. Key item, darkness. Oh,
Is this even?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the Luca key, which is the item that you normally get from that spot in the base game. Ooh, and those are sirens from the Dwarf Castle shop.
Oh, definitely worth the time to shop for those. Grind will happen sooner or later, but depends when it's time. Probably not quite time yet.
Right now we've got 5 key items in hand. It's there's a chance we might see 1 or 2 of these sirens used immediately. That's exactly what's happening. It's going to be a while before we reach 10 key items and get the experience bonus from that, especially with the items and checks that we've got available to us.
Yeah, so might as well grind. Try to get at least maybe Cure 4 for Rosa. Rosa will learn Cure 4 much quicker than Porum, which is a little unfortunate unless J spell is enabled. But right now we just want probably Cure 4. That's probably where you want to stop, and then you should be able to take on anything at that point.
Yeah, we've got enough checks left that it's fairly likely that we will need to go to the moon at some point, just due to the density of bosses that are up there, and you get a lot of experience from fighting the moon bosses. So much of the time, if you're up there in reasonable time, you can get most of the experience you need just from fighting moon bosses. No need for grinding. This isn't a scenario where that's happening, of course. That's why we're seeing Rex grinding here. But sometimes it's not necessary.
Just saw Tella doing Tella life things. A cursed Tella using Cure 4 looked like a very weak Cure 1, Cure 2. So that is the power of Cursed Ring. The power of Cure 4.
Yeah. Okay, and Rex, interestingly enough, having done a couple of eggs, is now going into Sealed Cave. This is a key item check, but it's also a fairly out-of-the-way boss check as well.
It's worth doing this check. Typically, when we're in other leagues, you want to do it for the peak the item, don't care about the boss. But there's also the Red Moon. Demus is still on the table. We are actually looking for Demus just in case that the Demus is holding away key item that we may actually need.
The ninth boss hunt in Red Wing flag sets. This is a little bit more interesting in the Red Wing flag set. Like by way of comparison with Blue Moon, where you have Warp Lich on, you would be able to get the key item from within Sealed Cave just by doing the Warp Lich after you finish up Dwarf, and that makes Sealed Cave a pure boss check. Here, with Warp Lich off the table, you're here both for the key item check and for the boss check.
Yes, so you might as well take a look. Demist is actually not actually one of the bosses required. It's really mist optional. So if you sometimes mist is in your way, will be in your way for a key item, but not something that you have to hunt down, and not a key item one, but we still have to check who that boss is.
Yeah. So if this isn't one of the bosses we're looking for and isn't Demist, we'll probably see a reset. So he says, this is the Alt Gauntlet.
But
you see the reset anyway, because you're going to want to prepare yourself for that, for those fights. This This is a fairly nasty spot for the alt gauntlet to turn up in.
When you're engaging the alt gauntlet, usually, especially at when there are more multiple monsters, not in the like we're not talking about Moon. Like Moon is, you probably want like something like Weak with stop hourglasses. Here you want some sort of AoE. You want like Quake Kid, although bats are immune to Quake, so that's not even the point.
Yeah, like a lot of your traditional area of effects, if you will, they're not very helpful here. We don't even have someone who can cast Quake in this party right now. Technically, Tela could cast Meteor if we hit Fanny Soma drops, but he's only going to be able to get away with that once. So we're going to be doing this the old-fashioned way, so to speak.
Hold A to win. That is. Probably you want to have some parrying, like with hoping to use the Artemis bow pickup. Try to like put it on form a Rosa, and just berserk all of them. You don't have to berserk them. Just hold A and maybe berserk Rosa to get extra oomph.
Yeah, Korgs is now also in Sealed Cave, having completed the door check and picking up the Licky Key. We'll be getting the Root Surprise in a few minutes here as well.
Yeah, Edge who? Yeah, that Edge would solve the bats. Like, just Flame was good enough to rid of the werebats. I'm not sure about the ladies, and on the you probably having maybe 2 Mute Knives. I think I've seen the seed. Probably good enough magic power to take care of the vamp ladies, but
yeah. Two Mute Knives, both from Castle Evelyn. I know for sure that Rex has both of them.
Vamp ladies are actually mages, so if they were using a Mute Knife, this would go a little bit faster. But don't. It's hard to remember when you have a complete gauntlet and they're not all vamp ladies, so can't.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of enemies in this particular gauntlet.
It's just time consuming. There's no worry about dying. They're just.
Yeah, like we have the experience here to get through this. This is just going to take some time to get through.
Manticore with the HP draining attack based on their HP pool, maximum HP. Manticore absorbs the base 3 elementals that you commonly use, so that's why you need Virus at this point, especially if you had like a Rydia. Tela being down doesn't really. It's fine. Tela won't be doing enough damage to kill it one hit, though.
Tela's taking a nap right now. We should let him sleep through this. With the Cure String on, he's not going to be doing very much in the way of damage anyway. So while both of our runners are fighting their way through this alt gauntlet, or getting ready to fight their way through the alt gauntlet, I want to take a moment to thank our restreamer Skull Kitty for providing us with this amazing boss layout, our tracker Weekend Levine pushing all of the buttons, and of course Deathlike on co-commentary, as well as both of our runners Rexbanner and Korgs. They're all worth giving a follow to.
Yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I love the backgrounds I have. I don't think I've seen all of them, but those are they're really pretty. And can't miss red and blue. Although
yes, give a special additional thanks to Skull for putting these layouts together.
Vampire, one of those spells you can't actually avoid. There's a subset of spells, and Vampire, Big Bang, maybe one of the other ones, where the spell will always hit. So even if you had the highest magic evade possible, they will always do 1 spell multiplier's worth of damage. So that's why Vampire and Bats, you can't forget them because they are really annoying.
Yeah. Well, they'll go down quickly now.
I think Korgs is having an easier time having picked up a light sword somewhere along the line, probably from the Evelyn looting. I think that might be the difference. Don't think Rex did the same Evelyn Castle dive.
Yeah, Rex hasn't. I don't remember if Rex has been in Evelyn at all, or at least long enough to be able to find all of his items. Actually, yeah, that's the 4th fight done. So we'll be out of here on Rex's side in just a few moments with one more objective on the board.
Screamer. The Screamer is a giant and a machine. How the game designers decided that is the case, we'll never know. But we don't have. Don't think we have the Earth Hammer anymore on Sid, so it doesn't really matter.
Well, Sid is also taking a nap right now, so it's not going to matter anyway. Okay, Rex is through the Alt Gauntlet. We do have Tella on hand to be able to cast Warp to sort of accelerate us getting back out of Sealed Cave.
Yeah, it's designed this way because there's an actual event. I mean, removed in Free Enterprise, but in vanilla game, Kane's supposed to betray the party, so you just can't walk on the cave. So Warp is the fastest way, and usually one of the reasons why you want to when you have to visit Sealed Cave, you want a black mage, and that's this is the reason.
Yeah, fortunately, the Kane that's currently in our party can't do the same thing that he would in vanilla. So with that Sealed Cave check done, Rex hasn't done Harp yet, but other than that is relatively even on checks with Korgs. That leaves us with the bosses in Feymarch and Keyless Tower, as in the top of tower boss check, which you generally don't want to do because it takes quite a bit of time to go up and down the tower, and you don't want to have to do it more than once if you can avoid it.
I feel like doing Keyless Tower is the play. You want to do as many, and like if you're not interested in doing Feymarch bosses without having done a grind, then you can like fade March and try, but you still have to find the Darkness Crystal, which is right now the kind of the goal. So I think Keyless Tower looks to be the place to be, unless Darkness is in like say in the Leviathan spot with Val's, and that would be fun if that came to be.
Yeah, well, Rex needs to do the Sheila 1 check before he can consider doing anything else here. Probably wants to do that just to be absolutely sure that the tower key is not going to turn up before making any further decisions.
There's a chance, from a routing perspective, to after if we know that Sheila 1 check is an elixir not worth the time, but maybe routing into a harp, which we know is definitely not what we want here. So that is a possibility. I think we got to swap airships because you don't want to have the Falcon landing in Troya, because that fun things happen.
Yeah, the cutscene that triggers at the end of Tower of Zot moves the Enterprise to Baron. If you landed there in the Falcon sits there, and you cannot subsequently land an airship there when you're, say, trying to turn the pass to go to the Zeromus fight.
Yeah, swap. It's one of those things. Swap airships quickly. It's not, and it doesn't really matter which ship comes out of the underground, whether it's the Enterprise or the Falcon. They will both trigger the cutscene if we've done the super cannon check. So.
Yeah, Rex resets out of the Sheila 1 check. Preliminary Night in chat points out that neither of her runners has gone back to fight Ashura yet. Rex is in the perfect position to do that right now, but instead is also going over to check Heart. Yeah,
it's where the Octomem spot is where Ashura is, but they might have been, right now it's one of those. At some point they might have forgotten, but right? It's not probably if Rex has forgotten, it's after doing a harp. There's a pretty good chance he might have forgotten. Korgs probably isn't worth routing to at this point, although there was an opportunity to go to immediately to that after doing the harp check. So
so while Rex heads down through Cave Magnes, Korgs is back in the Feymarch, is probably going to get ready to fight one of the other of these bosses. I'm going to guess that Korgs will check the Sparkle first just to see who it is.
I think the Sparkle, not as threatening, has more. There's more spell power in that spot, although there are not really that many bosses left in the Sparkle pool that
the D-Lunars.
That's not too bad. Just probably worth doing the Reflect Breath check. So at some point the D-Lunars will use breath. As long as you don't punch them, they will eventually try to use breath on you, and you want to use the opportunity to use at least 2 Star Veils, one on each. Like 2 characters having Star Veil, and there's a pretty good chance they will become toads, and they become pretty toads.
Yeah, like the attack pattern here is punch, fire, punch, 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 breath. So as long as you can survive those punches to get the Star Veils up, and hopefully get both of them to reflect their own breaths upon them, then the fight becomes free. Anyway, Rex is getting us an encore of DJ Spoony B. So let's sit back, relax, and listen to the wonderful music again. Okay, Rex is through that fight. Over on Korgs' side, what we saw was that only one of the 2 D-Liners was frogged as a result of the breath. So, manages to get through the fight anyway, but so the way that ends up working is when you hit one of the D-Liners with a physical attack, they will cast... Ooh, that's just a Protect Ring. That's not a key item we want. The D-Liner you hit will attempts to cast Wall on both himself and the other D-Liner at the same time. If they're a frog, they obviously can't do that. So if you get only one frog, you want to hit that frog so that Wall doesn't go up. Because past that point, both of the D-Liners will start casting Virus on each other to, in principle, reflect the Virus casts off of each other onto you. So if they're a frog, the walls don't go up, and you just have one of them virus the other to death. However, once the D-Liner is alone, in reaction to every attack, and on every action they take on their own, they will cast Flame.
Yeah, so it's a little more difficult for berserkers, but it's much easier as if you have spellcasters. So right now these are more berserker heavy teams. While a spellcaster isn't going to do spell damage, so this Rex remembers to do Azure.
Yeah,
and that makes about to check to see if. Did you remember? Well, looks like probably Fey March, maybe Keyless Tower. We'll see what Rex decides. It looks like Fey March.
Yeah, that's a Fey March play right there. The unwillingness to do Keyless Tower is fairly strong.
I mean, the boss density is where the boss density is at. So Keyless Tower, you only need a key item check, and there's technically the 2 bosses each have a key item, so that's 2 key items. So from routing, well, not even random, just like a decision making, it makes sense. Hey, 2 bosses, so that have 2 key items, so 2 key items versus 1 key item that will gate the darkness crystal, or something that will get you to the darkness crystal. Yeah.
No matter how ugly these fights are, like you can see things. They're relatively in control on Korgs' side, but we've had 2 weeks. We have Tala slowly turning to stone here. We have Sid dying to one of Val's punches. It's a rough boss fight.
Yeah, let Kane go berserk. Cecil just does cover and blink up the characters. That the manual cover helps a lot, although healing Cecil would help too. I don't think it really matters since blink is on all three. Having a manual cover is essentially requires you to do less blinks. Well, you have to do more blinks on Cecil, so it's kind of a trade-off.
Well, Korgs is through that fight. It was a bit rough, but we got there in the end. We get the Darkness Crystal. That is exactly what we wanted to find here.
So, what would Tila's Tower given you? That's the star.
That may end up being a mystery for the ages.
Could be. Although Val being the gatekeeper of the Darkness Crystal sounds about right. It's like the seed has its jokes.
Okay, this is Flitter saying no one wanted to find that here of all places, but we at least we have it now. That's the important part. So of course, with the Darkness Crystal in hand, with the only other remaining check on the blue planet being the Darkness Crystal, remembers that Ashura is here and is going to take that fight on for heading up to the moon.
Probably should heal up, but probably might not be hit. We'll see. This is like okay. We'll hope it doesn't punch. We'll see. This shouldn't be too bad, but it could go sideways.
Okay, that works.
Well, I thought it could. It's only. I mean, they are single-digit HP, but at this point you have decent armor.
Yeah.
And Prom someone in the back row probably wouldn't get hit.
We all know that Prom is a champion of dodging things anyway, so that's it. It makes perfect sense.
She's a kid. She can dodge anything.
Yep.
Doesn't know what she doesn't know. And I'm all for it.
Yeah, and with that fight out of the way, Korgs is turning in the Darkness Crystal to launch the Lunar Whale and prepare for a trip up to the moon. Yeah, the Lunar Subterrane has 5 bosses. The Cape Bahamut, Cape Value, has 1 boss, and then there are 2 additional checks on the Giant of Babel for a total of 8 boss checks that the Darkness Crystal unlocks.
I think it's Giant. If you do Giant, it's you do the grind there. I think it's if you're doing the grind and then checking the Giant makes sense. Peaking Cave Value is probably the fastest thing to do first, then do the dive into Ellis.
The other thing we might see here, neither of our runners has found a pass yet. So we might see an angle of going to Giant first, just to get those checks out of the way, and then head up to the rest of the moon afterwards, with the hopes that by the time you get to the bottom of the Lunar Subterrane, you have found 2 more of the bosses you're looking for, and can just head directly to the Zemus fight from down there.
So this is an interesting decision. Korgs wants Rosa late, but takes advantage of the slingshot. Slingshot requires 5 characters. The lowest 2 characters needs to be 10 levels below the median. The median being the character with the middle number of levels, not the average. So right now Rosa easily the lowest level character, so she will get slingshotted, taking advantage of that with some of the upcoming boss fights. Still not quite enough 10 key items, but that's not important.
Yeah, we are heading. I mean, in addition to a total of 8 boss checks, we do also have, I believe, a total of 7 possible key items. Or is it? No, it is 7. Yes. Because the 5 Lunar Subterrane boss checks, one of which gives 2, that's the Ribbon Altar, plus Cape Value, gives 7 possible key item checks up here.
I mean, right now, we're only 2 bosses away. If there was one boss left, then you'd just be face checking the Lunar Subterrane.
Yeah.
But given that we're 2, probably will want to just do a few fights, especially getting in Korg's case, getting Rosa to. Getting to Q4 at least. So
the other piece of this is that we still have several boss spots that we can't access right now. We don't have the package, we don't have the bearing key, we don't have the tower key. So there are at least 5 boss spots that we can't access right now. So presumably you don't want to worry about you don't want to go into full face check mode until you've got, maybe 2 of those spots inaccessible to you. You can start face checking earlier than that, but it gets progressively riskier the more of those spots that are not currently available to you.
Korgs has decided the grind is now. maybe just take on the Demist, because Demist is gaining key item, so it's one boss for one guaranteed key item and one potential key item. So
yeah, Rex meanwhile is in fact in the Giant. A very interesting divergence here. The bosses we find here in the Giant and on the Moon are going to make all the difference in the end here, I think.
I think Giant 10 from I think it feels like a long shot, but you know, worth peeking. Depends a lot on the element spot, as that is the tankiest HP spot in the game outside of Z.
Also one of the fastest boss spots.
Yeah, so those are two combinations. Oh, this is the one. Is it the wet noodle? Is it the wet noodle? Hoping wet noodle. Oh.
Yeah, it's just failed him.
So with a lot of the dragon equipment pickups, like you have the dragoon equipment, crystal ring, a tiara would be nice. I haven't seen that in the seed. Dragon resistant armor is a plenty, at least for the for berserkers. So this isn't a difficult fight, but it's going to be an extremely slow fight, and I'm not just saying that because of Paladin's slow counters. It's a song of Paladin's people. How do you speed up free enterprise without the casting of slow?
You cannot cast slow. Wow, Cursed Tella can't even cast Virus on himself to knock himself out.
He'll have spell power of like what was it, 128, so would have to hit himself a couple of times. So you might as well use Rosa aim, put Tella out of his misery for a nap. At least walk him to bed. Really, just walk him to bed, take a nap. It's fine.
It's not nap time yet, though, except maybe for Tella. We'll have to wait a little bit before we get that far.
So this is at least it's a free fight. So we know that Ogo is atop of Keyless Tower, so that shouldn't be too bad.
Yeah.
Still, Wet Noodle still annoying, but not as threatening. Just a lot of HP pool and him reducing your HP. But I think it's kind of fast, so it's not too.
Korgs, meanwhile, having elected not to take that Demist fight, is now checking the Murasame altar, the top altar in the subterranean.
I mean, if you don't have to fight Demist, that's time saved. So might as well. And you want to, in that spot, you might as well do the grind. Why do the King Ryu here when you need to peek that spot anyway? So it's fine. And hey, Dr. Dialogue.
Not one of our required bosses, we see a reset out of that. So it seems like Corey is intent on face checking the moon spots right now.
It's not unreasonable gamble. I mean,
at this point it is still definitely a gamble, but it's not unreasonable.
Usually, the worst case for the runners is like all the rest of the bosses are gated behind a key item, and none of the bosses here are the boss that they're looking for.
Yeah, so the hopes here are that you would find one of the required bosses that we're looking for, and that those bosses have the key items that we still need.
So, it would be interesting to have taken on the Luge. That's effectively a free fight, and you're just hoping for, even if you're not getting it's not the boss you wanted, but you're kind of gambling for the pass. Free fight for a pass is not the worst thing to do. It's time gained back.
Yeah, as free as the fight is, it still is a bit of a time investment versus something like maybe the Kaipo guards who we haven't seen yet.
Question in chat: Baron 1 is probably Waterhag. We did all Gauntlet in Sealed Cave.
Yeah, Baron 1 is a blue robe. We now know that Baron robe is Waterhag.
So yeah, Baigen spot. Waterhag. That should be pretty easy.
Korgs is looking to go to the Crystal Sword altar before the bottom of the moon altars.
This is a complete top-down approach. So that's fine. You have to peek all the spots anyways, and you might as well. And the nice thing about this, you have a safe spot, just in case. So this is not the worst decision. You can go to the dense spots, but you still have to check for bosses. So
That's Octomammoth, not one of the bosses we're looking for. Korgs is electing to take this fight, unlike the Dr. Luge fight. Meanwhile, Rexbanner is through the Pale Dim fight, and we'll be seeing in just a few moments if it was worth going through that fight to see who the second boss here is.
So unfortunately, this squid is holy for whatever reason. So Cecil's doing half as much damage as he possibly could.
The reason for that, of course, is to make Octomammoth weak to Cecil's dark weapons in the vanilla game.
Yes, but we are way past DKC, so that's not going to happen. And we'll see what the CPS are just also pretty. Kind of beefy, but it's really just powerful spell.
Ooh, that's Mylon Z, not who we're looking for here. So it was a giant waste of time. The giant did not pay off. I mean, 2 bosses out of the way. At least if one of the bosses were like at least the element spot. I call it worth it, but this is it's not worth it. It's like even if there's one of them was at the CPU spot that was actually one of the bosses you're looking for, you're still looking for another boss. That's just like that's kind of not the time. Not the time well spent. I mean, at the very least, that spot does give you a significant amount of experience if you want to keep it, but Rex instead reset it with the giant entirely. But of course, without the pass in sight, Rex is also going to K value first, presumably also before doing a top-down check of the rest of the lunar subterrane. We'll see in a few moments if Rex decides he wants to take this demist or maybe do a little bit of grinding while down at the bottom of this cave.
You might as well keep that.
That's a reset. Rex does not want to fight the Demist either.
Dude, yeah, no. Demist is like push button if panic. That's one of the kind of things you want to evade if you're not interested. You don't have like an edge with a spoon in hand to toss to kind of unyeet if that's not the result you're gonna get. So this is if you can't defeat the boss quick enough, you probably might as well fade until you have to do it.
Yeah. Alright, Korgs is now arriving at the bottom 3 checks of the moon. Hopefully one of these 3 bosses is one of the bosses we're looking for, or at the very least gives us one of the key items we're looking for. Otherwise we may yet need to take that Demus or the Dr. Luge fight.
Thinking maybe do the D lunar spot last. Maybe.
Yeah, we have no hope of getting 10 key items by the time we take the ribbon altar. That's CPU. That is not a boss we want to take here.
It's kind of like Demus. There's some bosses where they're not difficult in nature, but they just slow in trying to defeat them. It just takes time, and time is not something you try to waste sparingly here. Yeah,
here in the ribbon room we find Karate with Paladin Cecil in hand. This is a free fight as long as he can survive the opening 2 punches and kicks. The next attack from Cecil ends the fight.
Yep, with 2 white mages in hand, should be no problem. Healing, berserking. Just wait for Cecil to wake Yang up. Not quite a pan.
Ouch. Okay, so this gets us, well, not a required boss, this does get us 2 key item checks. And that's the Baron key. That is very significant. That opens up 3 boss checks and 2 key item checks for us back in the Blue Planet.
Yeah, but we know that one of them isn't what we're looking for. It's not all fits, so we know. But the 2 spots, Odin spot and the Kinaza spot, hey, maybe vanilla? Well, we'll see. Right now, Ogo spot is in, and we'll see. And the Dr. Luge fight is always kind of it's like 2 stages, but like kind of a 2.5 because if you kill ball up early, but Luge reacts to that, so it's not that can take time. Hey,
That's the Mega Sisters at the Masamune spot. While it's nice that we find a required boss, this is not somewhere you want to see the Mega Sisters.
yeah,
These spells are going to hurt.
yeah. I mean, the level 2 elementals, with the problem with, it's not the problem with the spells themselves. It's the high magic power spots. Like,
Yeah.
like the stat is like 127, so their spell power is like 32, and that's a lot. 30.
Yeah.
So the helps a lot if you have the Dragoon equipment, which I think it was a protecting, although I think that was resetted out. But if both Cecil and Kane have the Dragoon equipment, they will have no time. It's not like they won't have problems, but they'll survive. They'll have a better time at it than everyone else.
Yeah, like that, we can see the Dragoon equipment on Kane is making all the difference here. Like that Lit 2 did more than 2,000 damage to Cecil.
Yeah, they Mega Sisters rotate through from their primary strat, all the elementals plus Virus. I think Virus comes a little bit earlier. It's a third spell in the sequence, so that hurts.
It's Fire, Lit, Ice, Virus in that order, and they cycle through that.
I'm a big fan of Dragoon equipment.
Rex gets only the spoon from the Dr. Luge fight. Technically, we do have Edward in the seed, but at this point, we're not going back to take advantage of that.
Yeah, well, when you get the spoon, you want that early, and you would have wanted Edward much earlier.
Yeah, like
usually
if you want to use the spoon for spoonward strats, you want it very early, and you want time to get Edward up to the point where he can survive things. The alternative, of course, is to have an edge to throw the spoon at something, but we don't have one of those either.
I mean, it's a key item, but I think Rex did a mini egg grind, so I don't. That spoon isn't. It's just taking up space in the inventory as far as he's concerned. I think. We've picked up a bunch of Mute Knives and probably haven't even thought of going to that, because the Mute Knife would be like slightly weaker than stronger than Xcal, but weaker than the Crystal Sword. So that right now they're doing okay damage, but it's not as fast as it could be.
Yeah, and we're a bit lacking in Holy Swords here, unfortunately, at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, there's a light sword, but that's kind of the same level as defense, so it's not.
Yeah, we're a bit lacking in tier 8 Holy Swords here. Rexbanner is also going to the Crystal Sword altar for us. Unfortunately, we know that there's no value up there.
But it's probably worth at least hoping for the key item. Although we know that the key item is not what we're looking for either. It's not a key item gating some other boss or objective. So.
These spells still hurt.
Yeah, that's what high level, like a lot of the LST spots, or at least end game spots, where spell power is through the roof, like the Evil Wall spot. This spot just as well. They can make boss fights dangerous, but right now we're just at the part of the fight where Charm is probably only the most threatening spell on that list, and not to worry.
Okay, that is all three of the Mega Sisters down. This will get us a decent chunk of experience due to the multiple times that some of them went down. That's also objective, and that is a pink tail that we get for our troubles.
No adamants, so maybe it'll get us the burr, but right now there's no rat tail in sight yet. There's no incentive to turn it in unless you're hoping for burr. That's about the best you can hope for.
Okay. Well, Korgs is at the point now of having at least peaked all of these altars. Might take a swing at that CPU before leaving, which appears to be what he's doing.
Yeah, CPU.
Okay, so leaving a save up here and is presumably going to scum the Baron Key for an extra boss.
Well, 2 extra bosses.
Yeah, hoping that one of the 2 bosses that we don't know who's in Baron is going to be one of the ones that we're looking for.
Yeah, I mean, right now it's really just peaking at best. They'll probably I think probably routing the exit first, possibly. Like sometimes, like runners try to route Odin first, the Odin spot first, then do the the throne, the Kinaza spot. After, sometimes you want the Kinaza spot open immediately so that you can just peek the Odin spot.
Yep.
So, two different options.
Yeah, okay. Korgs is headed into Baron. It will take a little bit for Korgs to walk up to the water hag fight that we know is the first boss spot here. So it'll be interesting to see which of the bosses Korgs chooses to take first here.
Well, safety save probably not something that needs to happen. We already seen Blarg, so if there were Blarg still on the table, safety save would be a thing. Probably.
Yeah, like most of the potentially ugly bosses that we could see in the Baron 2 spot here, especially Wyvern, are already out of the pool.
Yeah, so there shouldn't be too many bosses left. Still hoping for Vanilla Kinazo.
Yeah. So yeah, we've got we have the three bosses here in Baron, one of which we know is Water Hag. We have the package boss and we have the super cannon boss that we don't know who they are.
I mean, it's fortunate we only have to do only 7 out of the 8 bosses that we're required to do. So if we miss one of the bosses, we don't have to chase after. We just have to find one. That's the nice combination we have around here.
Here is the blue robe, which we know is Water Hag because Gauntlet was in Seal Cave.
I think, I'm trying to remember if it's required that Cecil actually has to connect the hit onto Yang for the action. I think he doesn't have to. I don't think he has to. He just has to. It just has to be he just has to punch him. That's all that really matters.
I'll have to look at the script at some point and see if I can figure that out. Okay, Rex is now also at the bottom of the moon, having taken the karate fight and gotten through that. We'll be finding the Magus Sisters as well in just a few moments. Korgs is through the Water Hag fight and is electing to go to the Odin throne first.
Well, I mean, it is interesting. I mean, the sequence for the Baron pot, that's a little slow. So I mean, walking back out probably isn't any much faster, I guess. So might as well take on both. Resetting out is not an idea. If you're doing Odin, you're committing to both spots.
Yeah.
Or unless you find the boss and then you're just gonna walk your way out.
Yeah, like if you come here first, you are absolutely committed to finishing this fight, no matter who it is. King Queen Evelyn. We have royalty lurking in the basement. This is a blessing to find here.
Yeah, typically a fast spot with decent magic power, but doesn't matter because you might as well punch the king to death. The queen takes a nap when her king goes away, so usually you want to just punch the king to death or wait it out. I think waiting out might be the slowest possible option, so you might as well go full offensive, low berserk. Randomly picks the target, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah. In some spots, it's faster to just let the script play out here, or sometimes it's faster to just kill the king and let it happen. We do see Korgs electing to take the approach of just killing the king.
I think there's like half and half. I think the HP pool splits for the Odin spot, so that helps with the decision.
Okay, and that's done. I don't think we necessarily care much about the key item here, which is good because it's not actually a key item after all.
Well, I think at least we have a lot of like a pair of crystal rings now. I mean, this is not that we need to manipulate agility at this point. I mean, we know Tella's going to be the anchor, the cursed anchor, and a crystal ring is really pretty durable. Both defensively, you have with the dragon resistance, charm, basically control resistance like paralysis, sleep, those are not on the table.
Okay, the moment of truth. Who is the throne boss? It's Baigen. That's go mode for Korgs.
It's always the usurper. Always the usurper. It's Baigen.
Yep. Not content with merely guarding the throne, he's choosing to take power for himself. Yes, Baigen is the 7th boss on the list of objectives and will be the 7th boss that Korgs has on the board. As soon as this fight is done, Korgs will have the crystal and will be ready to go back up to the moon and take down Zemus.
Yeah, nope. And it would be interesting if there's a pass that comes after this. That would be
the dream. The item we get here is the pass.
And that might be bet for Rex if that is the case. Where if the pass is not here, then we'll see a nice trek down the LST, and that will be fun. Snakeocracy.
Yeah.
Well, Baigen is a snake. He started snake early. He's snake in monster form. I think that's very appropriate.
Yeah. Okay. Today in statues we have Ruby and one of the dancers' dresses.
Yes, liked it so much. We made a stone statue out of it.
Yep. Okay, and our item from Baron today is a tower key. Well, Kita's tower is officially no longer on the table, but Korgs is immediately heading back up to the moon and we'll be starting the long trek down to start the Zemus fight.
Yeah, this fight looks to be probably going to be full berserk. White mages do the healing, Tele takes nap. It's probably straightforward. I don't think there'll be any particular tactics other than trying to nerf, maybe with slow. That's slow as casting you. If you have a silk web, you can use one instance of it, or casting slow twice is effectively making Zemus half as fast as he normally is, which always is helpful if you're new to trying to nerf Big Bang, as full Big Bang takes a lot of damage.
Okay, Korgs taking a moment to change up his party order before starting the lockdown. It's the white mages in slots 2 and 3, Cecil and Kane in slots 4 and 5, and puts a mutant icon on Cecil instead of the light swimmer.
Probably the Magus Sisters, yeah. That when you have a weapon that takes advantage of a racial multiplier, it's 4 times. So just imagine the weapon space attack power times 4. It's not quite that. It's a little bit more because you're adding the strength bonuses, but that's kind of a rough estimate of how much power that weapon has when you can.
Yeah. Okay. Now the mutant knife makes sense here. Korgs is electing to take some warlocks on the way down for some additional experience. Has Mutant Bells has the mutant knife. These are going to die fairly quickly.
Are we? Well, if we're not doing berserk strats, can we kind of do hybrid reflect white? If you want your white mages to do some offense, if it's not with Artemis bow plus whatever arrows, it's reflect and reflect white. And as one of the benefits of reflecting spells is that you do not trigger a counter. So one of the things that Zemus does in the counter when he counters spells is when a counter's damage is one occasion when he hits the threshold, he heals himself to the max, and that's sometimes what you want to avoid. So in a mage heavy spell party, you'd want to take advantage of that.
Yeah, like this isn't the party setup that you would need to do full reflect strats. You of course would need more mages for that too. Well, you don't necessarily need more mages for that to work. You can get away with 2 sometimes, but we've got Cecil, we've got Kane, we've got enough damage output from them that we want to take advantage of it.
Oh, Big Bang proof. Probably I think Rosa with the HP pool you want to have at least 1200 when you have a nerfed Big Bang situation. So
we do already have 1200 hit points on everyone who's likely to be up for the duration of the fight, though.
Probably, did Parom learn Cure 4? That's the only thing I can think of that would be like, having 2 Cure 4 healers is better than having a Cure 3 healer.
Yeah, there might be some intent to get Rosa to Berserk as well. We'll see how this goes. Okay, one last save on the way down to the bottom of the moon here. Rex is going to be finding that Baigen in a few moments if he chooses to take the main throne first.
Water Hag only needs to take damage, so even like an MP stealing like Psych or I forget the alternative item, but any damage, even an MP damage dealt to the monster is considered, it will trigger the script. So it's any form of damage.
Yeah, and Rex is in fact heading directly up to that throne and will also be in go mode in just a few moments. It seems at the moment that Korgs is now in the lunar core area, which means that very soon Korgs will be entering the Zemus fight. Now, since this is a randomizer, we, as much as possible, want to be able to move things around, and we can't exactly move Zemus to another boss spot. Because it's a tough fight. It's a bit of a challenge. We don't necessarily want to have to inflict that on players any sooner than we possibly can. So instead of randomizing where Zemus is located, we still want to do something to randomize the fight. So we choose to randomize Zemus's appearance. We have currently more than 570 costumes available in the pool for Zemus right now. So as the flags in chat indicate right now, we have just one question that we want to ask right now. In the name of the Red Moon, who are we punishing this afternoon?
It's a Sailor Moon reference. I love it.
Thank you, Scala.
So yeah, is it cute? Does it have a hat? Questions.
Is the hat cute? Does the hat have a hat?
Does it have a butt? So it's questions that will be answered soon enough.
Okay, here's the crystal throne.
And the reveal. Pete.
Yep, it's Pete. Gets the Berserk Step. Rosa gets the gets the Berserk up. Rosa throws his Silk Web. The timing of this Silk Web at the opening of the fight, it will provoke a counter nuke, and that will mean that Zemus' opening Big Bang will be nerfed. It will do less damage than it normally does. Comes the counter nuke, hits Cecil. Cecil is likely to survive this. That Cure 4 that's been queued up will go off before Big Bang does.
Yeah, Q4 is instant. It'll still take a turn, take Porum's turn, but that's fine. At least Q4 being instant is very helpful. Absolutely, which is probably what Korgs was grinding for in the first place. So having both white mages at a Q4 whim, that is always good.
Here comes the opening Big Bang. We'll probably see this do about 800 damage to everyone. Tella's not likely to survive, but everyone else will handily.
It's okay. Tella did his job.
Yeah, and thank you for your... Take your nap, Tella. You've earned it.
I mean, there are times where he survives it, but having seen Tella at like 1k HP, Tella actually tends to survive at that point, but not today.
Yeah, it's often not the best idea to let Tella get enough levels to get that far, because that means he also picks up enough agility to be less effective as an anchor. Yeah, I mean, there are some scenarios where it makes sense, though.
Yes, but you don't. Generally, you want Tella to avoid having 15 natural agility, which in the crystal ring reduces it to 0, which has a different impact than what you think 0 means.
Yeah, when everyone else is infinitely faster than you, everyone moves at the same speed. That includes the anchor.
I'm surprised divide by 0 doesn't occur. That is the miracle.
Yeah, I can only surprise that there's some special case in the code for someone having exactly 0 agility, but we may never know for sure. So yeah, this looks like it's just a pure berserkers letting the 2 white mages cast Cure Force as necessary.
I mean, if there were like spellcasters that do damage, probably have. Oh, that's full damage.
Yeah, that was a full Big Bang. Porum narrowly survived, but due to the sap effect, dies immediately anyway. We do have enough hit points on everyone not named Tella and not named Porum to have a reasonably good chance of surviving an unnerved Big Bang. Rosa is the edge case here. But Cecil and Kane both easily have enough health to be able to survive a full power Big Bang at this point.
Yeah, Rosa gains about the same HP as Edge. So it's a little worse, but not by much. So she's the tankiest white mage of all the characters, and that's what makes her a lot more popular than Porum. I mean, if you're stuck with Porum, she's still serviceable to you. Having a tanky white mage can save your bacon a bit.
Alright, with that black hole in hand, we are now zerking up our Cecil and Arcane again, getting ready to keep swinging at Z.
Yeah, so Black Hole removes quite a bit of statuses, the most notable being Berserk, so you have to kind of go Berserk them again, and if you use something like the Avenger Glitch, you lose some of the benefits. Oh, rocks!
Yeah, Meteor coming out means that Zormus is on his last 12,000 points. This fight will be over very soon.
Porum would have avoided that. Rosa...
With that crack boom, Korgs has finished and won the race with a final time of 1 hour, 44 minutes, and 8 seconds. GG's to Korgs.
Yeah, GG's. That pretty straightforward fight. Having a decent safety net. Good. Porum being an extra safety net is fine. So smart decision to allow slingshot Rosa.
Yeah, and with that ding, I believe we are now joined by our first place finisher, Microcards. GG's.
Thank you, S Grunt, and what's up, Deathlike?
It's pretty good. Really good. So your decision to pick up Rosa was to slingshot her, right? That was the goal.
Yeah, it didn't seem like Sid was really doing much anymore. And in fact, I was kind of upset that I didn't put the curse ring on Sid earlier and use Tella as my kind of second white mage, and I made that decision, I think, right before that fun gauntlet. But yeah, I knew that Rosa would at least get to Cure 4 pretty quickly, and I was happy with that decision.
Yeah. So was your intent then early on, as soon as you saw that Rosa, were you thinking of later taking Rosa for that slingshot purpose instead keeping Porum in the meantime, or was that motivated by something else?
Yeah, pretty much. I thought Porum's going to get Berserk, Blink, and Exit earlier, and she'll get me through the early game. And with Tella in the seed, I was, you never know if Darkness is going to show up right around the corner, and then I might have done a D-Machine grind with Rosa to kind of get her into the stratosphere, but that didn't really make sense by the time it came around.
Yeah, that was a fairly late Darkness Crystal. You ended up leaving that Val to basically last out of all the checks you could have done at that point.
Yeah, she didn't seem too appealing early on, but then the checks started narrowing, and I guess at that point it was between, after leaving Luca, it was either between the top of the tower, which was, I think, was Ogo by default.
Yeah, Ogo by process of elimination.
Yeah. And at that point, my team was strong enough to do either set of checks, and I figured let's get the 2-for-1 in Fey March.
Yeah. So yeah. Speaking of checks, a little bit earlier on than that, you had found the harp underground, and before doing something like going to Dwarf Castle for the boss checks, you instead chose to leave the underground and ended up doing harp before coming back. What led you to make that check as soon as you did?
I guess because I was going to do the Sheila 1 setup, I knew I was going to be low on HP, and sometimes the show simply must go on, and it's sometimes I don't really know Rex's tendencies with the heart, but I know some runners might put that off, and I was hoping to hit both a key item and a required boss, and I think I got neither, unfortunately. So I was willing to make that gamble.
Yeah, it was a Rubicante, and you got a power shoot for your troubles.
Oh right, yeah, and I kept it. That was kind of a iffy decision, but those few extra seconds maybe got me some more DPS for the later fights and for Z.
Yeah, absolutely. So one other thing that we noticed after having found Baigen and heading back up to the moon to head on the way down, you took a Warlock fight before continuing down. Was that specifically to say get Forum to Cure 4, or just do a little bit more hit points, or what caused you to do that?
It was mainly more hit points on Rosa. I didn't want to have to nerf because I thought my damage would be high enough. And if I could get Rosa above that 2100-ish, 2200 range, I'd feel safe. And then getting Cure 4 and Forum was just nice. But I knew she wouldn't really be a major factor in the Z fight. Maybe a few utility casts, which she was able to do. But that was about it.
Cool. Deathlight, do you have anything else for Korgs right now?
No, I'm good. GG's again, Korgs. That was a good race.
Yeah.
Thanks. I would like to... I do have one single moment from the entire seed that is my absolute favorite, and it was during the hook route, the Plague fight, when I cast Berserk on Sid, and he immediately got over.
Yeah.
He's like, no, I'm done. You cannot make me angry enough to fight.
Yeah, being able to be too angry to die requires that you can actually be angry enough to act that quickly.
That had me. I was laughing loudly at my screen with no one in the room, but
I'm sure most of us were laughing along with you. So with this win, you next week will be facing off against the winner of the matchup between Asuka and McBain, which is taking place later today. What are your thoughts on heading into that matchup?
I'm just looking forward to it. I just love competitive free enterprise. I was glad today that win or lose, I would get at least one more match, and I guess with the win now, I do have at least two more, one in the waxing, and if I happen to lose, then at least one more in the waning. So I just want to keep playing. That's the big reward for winning. I want to offer Rex GG. We kind of have a friendly rivalry. He was the runner who knocked me out of Admin Cup, and we've gone back and forth in the asyncs. Rex is, I think, as many of us know, one of the nicest people online, one of the nicest people in the free enterprise community. So I wish him well. I'm glad I didn't knock him out of the tournament. I'm glad he gets to still play in the waning bracket, and I wish him the best going forward.
All right. Thank you for your time. Any further last thoughts you want to share with us? If not, then we'll let you go.
Then I will go and wish everyone a great day, great afternoon. I'm very much looking forward to the many, many matches that are going on today and the rest of the week. Have a great day, everyone.
Yeah, have a good one. Okay, and while we've been taking the time to interview Korgs, Rex is now also in the Zemus fight.
Yeah, so using the cross items to trigger the Big Bang nerf. You don't want to use a heal potion because heal undoes the speed manipulation from Silk Web or Slow. So any item, I think there's like one item, the diet food that doesn't work on bosses for any reason. So that's the only item, like healing item, that will trigger. All items are magic, so and you want to do non-damaging magic. Yeah,
like basically any type of magic, including most forms of magic items, with the exception of the diet food, that you use on Zerolas will provoke that counter nuke and set the spell power such that the next Big Bang will be nerfed. You can even use the crystal itself for this, since that counts as a magic spell. The reason you would use something like these crosses to trigger this effect, firstly because it's not damaging, secondly because the spell animation for it is much faster than most of the other options you've got available to you.
Yeah, Nuke is one of the probably the longest spell animations.
One of the longer ones for sure.
Certainly, yeah, starting one longer. I think Summons might be probably a little bit more, but yeah. But using an item is safer. Rosa might not survive this, but I think the nerf happened. If a nerf happened, should be okay.
There was an attempt to worth, I think, succeeded. Yep, yeah, everyone survived that. You can see that did about 800 damage. While you can consistently nerf the opening Big Bang in the Zeromus fight just by casting one of those spells any time before the Big Bang goes off, the timing is a little bit trickier for any subsequent Big Bangs. The sequence of events is normally you see a shade from Zeromus, and then there's an invisible turn between then and when the Big Bang goes off, that the Big Bang is actually added to Zeromus's Q, which is also the point that the spell power gets set. So for the nerf to work, you need to get the spell in between when that spell power is set, when the Big Bang is queued, and when it goes off.
Yeah, it's hard to tell. Zeromus goes so fast, so it's one of those you have kind of things with practice. And did Param? Oh, see, Param dodged.
Yeah,
dodged the rocks.
Known champion Meteor Dodger.
See, this is why you take Param on these scenes, but Reflected White is more than enough to take on Z. Probably could be direct damage, but it's good enough.
And there it is. The crack boom goes off. Rexbanner has finished the race also in with a finishing time of 1 hour, 53 minutes, and 13 seconds. GG to Rex.
Yep, GG's to Rex.
Let's see if we can get Rexbanner in here for an interview. And with that ding, I believe we are now also joined by Rexbanner. GG's to you.
GG's to Korgs and everyone else. How are you folks doing this day?
We're doing pretty good. We're glad for such a wonderful show from both of our runners today.
I have to ask, did Korgs find a fancy sword at all, or was he defense as well?
Korgs found a light sword somewhere, but otherwise did not find any of the biggest of sticks.
Okay.
A bit bereft of the big holy swords in Cecil's hand. But so one of the earliest things that I remember from this seed is that as we're going around collecting characters, you had Porum in hand and you're heading up Mount of Yales, and Rosa turns up, and you at that point in time chose to keep Porum instead of taking Rosa. Only later on to circle back and take Rosa, presumably for a slingshot. So was that what you had in mind from the beginning, or was there no reason that you kept Porum over Rosa immediately?
It's a slingshot, and that Porum gets berserk faster. So while Rosa is the better healer in the long run, Porum getting berserk quicker, I'd rather have her off the start, and then if the slingshot happens, get Rosa just done.
Yeah, certainly makes a difference for when you've got things like Plague, on the hook route, and you want to be able to do those, to be able to get those berserks up.
Yep.
It was interesting when you decided much earlier than Korgs. When you rewatch the vid, you'll see like the difference. You made the pickup much earlier. Would you have kept Sid a little bit longer though? Just if you want to have a bigger slingshot for Rosa, or?
No, Sid I just wanted for basically the overworld. He's better than Porum or Rosa for damage. Kane's not the greatest, and Cecil, until you get him Paladin in levels, he's not the greatest. So with finding that early Earth Hammer, having the Sid for the majority of the overworld, I find way better. And then once you're done with that, grab your Rosa. She'll get slingshot to catch up to everyone fast enough, and you can continue on, and you don't lose a ton of time. I feel like you make up a little time just because you're not parrying through one more character not attacking.
Yeah, Sid is, I was saying much earlier on the stream that having that early Sid is very good for the overworld checks, just because you've got the levels, you've got the damage, you've got that Earth Hammer in hand. He can get you through things like ordeals fairly quickly when you want to get that Cecil online. Yeah. So, the other thing that looms large in my mind here is going up to the Giant before deciding to head up to the moon. I'm assuming that was at least partly due to not having found the pass at any point in time, but was there anything else that motivated that decision?
Not really. It's more having two bosses left, not having the pass. There's nothing I hate more than going to the moon, finding one boss, and then end up finding the second one on the Giant back, and you rerun down the LST. So my personal preference is Giant before the Moon if I don't have Pass. If I have Pass, Moon before Giant. Now, I'm pretty sure that's what probably burnt me this run, but one run it'll burn me, one run it'll help me, so it's hard to say. I'm still a fan of the Giant before the Moon without the Pass. It's just, I'm pretty sure that's where I lost my time, especially with Pale Dim being there and not having a great weapon for him.
It's a perfectly sensible play. It's just that in this specific case, we had a very time-consuming boss in that spot and no value in the second Giant spot.
Yeah, as soon as I saw the nope in the second for the value, I'm just like, well, we probably lost because I spent probably almost 10 minutes, anywhere between 5 to 10 minutes on that Pale Dim. And so I knew I was behind, but not much I could do about it at that point, but continue on and hope to catch something.
Yeah, it would have taken some time to leave the Giant, but there was some speculation that you might have wanted to have kept the experience from the Pale Dim fight. Did that thought cross your mind, or were you just in a hurry to get out of there?
It crossed my mind, it got Rosa to Cure 4, and I'm going to say, and there was a thought that I could keep this, but I'm like, the time I run out, I've already lost how much time due to Pale Dim. I figured the experience loss would be better than adding another minute and a half to time already lost.
Yeah. Perfectly understandable. Deathlight, did you have anything else for Rex?
Trying to remember. I don't think you visited Eblin Castle at all. Is that from your routing? I don't. Was there any reason to? I'm trying to remember.
Nope, I didn't touch Eblin. With getting the hook, I prefer the hook route. It's only one trap chest. You get the same sort of amount of money, because in this seed, I've been burnt too many times going chest searching and getting nothing of value in return. Like, you do get the experience, but the value's been so poor. I'd rather just go open up chests. If it happens to be decent gear, great. If not, it's money to check shops. Buy Bacchus, buy Sirens, pick up a gun gear for Kane. I'm much more shop motivated in these seeds than chest motivated with T-Pro.
Fair enough.
Yeah, T-Pro often doesn't have the value unless you go really out of your way for some places.
Yeah, and I just find the chests in Eblin I've been burnt by them just about every time I've done them. I think out of about the 8 times I've done them, I've got one time a weapon for my party, and usually it's weapons for... If I have Cecil, I get Masamoons. If I have Kane, I get Excalibur, or if I don't have Cecil in the party, then the Excaliburs and Crystal Swords will show up.
Yeah, from what I remember from Korgs checks, the only thing that was actually usable by any of the party members from the trap chest, there was a life staff.
Okay.
Yeah, the only other thing which I remember from the rest of the Eblin checks is a couple of additional mute knives. But yeah, so with you going to the winning brackets at this point, you'll be up against one of, if I'm reading the brackets correctly, one of Loof or Asuka or McBain in your next match in a couple of weeks. Do you have any thoughts on your next match?
Me and McBain could are due for another tie. Our last one, unfortunately, was close, but I was 6 seconds faster. So we got to coordinate a little bit better for this next one. It'd be not right for us to at least not attempt the tie if we meet up.
Yeah.
But I'm looking forward to Asuka. If that so happens, I'd love to have a match with Asuka. See how much memeing we can bring into one run.
I can totally understand that. Any last thoughts you want to share with us before that you go on your way?
Nope. Just thank you folks for everything. Thanks Deathlike and S-Grunt for all the commentary. Thank Raging Levine for the button pressing and keeping them away from Possum. Thank you Scala for the seed roll and being patient with us with the little technical issues off the start. And thanks to everyone that showed up to watch. It's always a pleasure to do these, and I will be continuing doing them.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure having you here. Thank you.
Alrighty, you folks have a good day, and GG's once again to Korgs.
Okie dokie. Well, that brings us to the end of this broadcast. We're far from done with Free Enterprise for today. In addition to we have, so later today, to start with, we have 3 additional races that will be on Restreamed. John Burkhead, aka Brickety Break, versus TJ, 7:30 Eastern on Free Enterprise. And a very special debut, we have J-Mac, the Librarian, versus Asmati Games on the brand new, shiny Free Enterprise 3 channel. This will be the debut showing on the new channel. That's at 8:30 Eastern. And at 9 Eastern, we'll have Direwolf versus Night Dew on Free Enterprise 2. In addition to that, we have a grand total of 13 races going on today. That includes the one you just saw, the one from this morning, and the 3 restream races you have. But since it will be a little bit before any of the rest of those kick in, we are going to send you over to Commander Leonhard, which, if you remember from Korg's naming scheme at the start of the seat, it is his birthday today. So please wish him a very happy birthday from all of us. And please also do not spoil anything in the race that you've just seen, or you will get blocked. Thank you for watching, and we will see you later this evening.
Yep. Have a good day, and see you all next seed.